All right, if this story is true, this is not only the biggest scandal in politics of the last century, but Donald Trump should be impeached immediately. According to reports by many outlets, Donald Trump basically enriched himself and his family at the expense of the country when he had his envoy, Steve Witkoff, who's also his business partner, take a $2 billion investment from a Saudi company in his World Liberty Financial cryptocurrency company. And then a couple weeks later, Donald Trump signed off on giving the UAE access to high advanced chips that we are concerned would fall into the hands of adversaries like China. So Trump allegedly has greenlit somebody getting access to sensitive materials which can be used for national security purposes in terms of concerns in order to enrich himself and his company. On paper, President Trump made $5.5 billion last week with his family. His sons are listed as the co-founders. He's listed as co-founder emeritus. Somebody explain to me how this isn't a massive violation of the Emoluments Clause of the Constitution, how it's not a violation of Trump's oath of office to not put the country first, but to put private dealings first, how it's okay that his foreign envoy is his current business partner. And yet Hunter Biden and Hunter Biden's laptop, we got plenty of hearings from the Congress, not a peep about this. If this is true, this should be an impeachment. This should be an impeachment of Witkoff as well. If this is true, it's the biggest scandal of the last century.
We are in a world of trouble with this. We want to be just like Russia administration. Kristi Noem put out a comment to the press, and it's in all the headlines, that ICE agents were targeted at an ICE facility. There have been numerous fatalities from a sniper. J.D. Vance jumped on and said, our ICE agents continue to be at risk from these radical leftists. They put the headlines out there. And then when you continue reading the articles, there's no information. They don't know who was shot. They don't know anything. But now it's been confirmed by ICE that the 3 people who were shot were all detainees. They were detainees. And the only person that was unalived was the sniper. Somebody with a very precise shot who unalived himself. But the wrong information, the deliberately wrong information was put out there to enrage half of America. If this isn't calling for a civil war, I don't know what is. This is the epitome of irresponsibility. That this administration does not care about the truth. That they lack integrity. They are not good leaders. These are not the quotes in the headlines you put out. They did the same thing with Charlie Kirk's unaliver. Put all kinds of quotes and negative energy and assumptions that they had no right to do because it's bad leadership. Half of America that's supporting this administration doesn't understand what's being done to them. They actually want reasons to be pissed at the other half of America, so they're going to believe Kristi Noem and Kash Patel and everyone. But there you go. Now Republicans are running with the leftists are putting ICE agents at risk. There you go.
So Trump goes on TV and erroneously claims that over 300 million people died from drugs last year. Here, watch the clip and we'll come back and talk about it.
What's illegal are the drugs that were on the boat and the drugs that are being sent into our country, and the fact that 300 million people died last year from drugs. That's what's illegal.
It is absolutely astonishing to me that nobody questions this man. Nobody pushes back when he says the most ridiculous bullshit we have ever heard. We know he can't be talking about the United States, because if over 300 million people in the United States died last year, well, that would only leave around 40 million of us left, which that didn't happen. And we know he's not talking about worldwide, because worldwide annually there's about 500 to 600,000 deaths. But over 300 million people would have been 4% of the world's population. That would have been catastrophic. It would have been headline news all over the place if 4% of the world's population suddenly just died last year from drugs. The amount of BS that comes from this administration, the alleged president just gets out there, spouts whatever nonsense he wants to spout, And they let him, they don't push back on him, and he gets away with it. And his supporters, who never seem to ever want to fact check him, will believe it. And now they will start running around talking about how over 300 million people died last year from drugs. The exaggerations are insane from this president, and he gets away with it on a daily basis. At some point, somebody needs to push back on him in these interviews and actually make him start showing some data and some evidence and facts to back up the ridiculous claims that he makes. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, follow for more. This is Grim with Get the Rant, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Everyone, it's Anthony, and today I'm chilling here at the park. So today we are discussing about everything that is going on in this Trump administration, right? From the first clip whereby he and his family has enriched himself to the tune of 10 billion US dollars. The other clip is about these ICE detainees which were shot. Another clip is about his claim about 300 million people dying from drug overdoses in US. 300 million people, considering that our population is 300 something 80 million people. 300 million people are dying. That's very catastrophic. That would spark a worldwide crisis, even if it's happened in the whole world, let alone United States. So I don't know whereby this guy gets his data from. I don't know, because I'm and this MAGA fan base still believes in him, still worships him. It's really a mess we have as a country.
Wait, Londoners, you guys didn't tell me that London was going to Sharia law.
I have to say, I look at London, where you have a terrible mayor, terrible mayor, and it's been so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law, but you're in a different country. You can't do that. Both the immigration and their suicidal energy ideas will be the death of Western Europe if something is not done immediately. This cannot be sustained.
Wait, how is it that the President of America, the supposed most powerful man in the world, he's turned that office into some sort of joke clown office? How does he stand at the UN General Assembly meeting, whatever, and spout actual lies, verifiable lies that are so easy to debunk? But he just stands there and just lies so easily with so much impunity, and nobody tells him or holds him accountable and tells him that's not true, that's a lie. They just allow him to spout these lies so effortlessly. Sharia law in the UK, first it was Tommy Robinson who was saying Sharia law, blah, 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 and now him. So it looks like a sort of agenda for the far right and right-wing racists to insist, because Sadiq Khan's the mayor of London now, to insist that it's going to Sharia law. How can London just go to Sharia? What does that even mean, go to Sharia law? Like, go to Sharia law? Is Sharia law a place to go to? Or and what has he got against Sadiq Khan? Because he's Muslim. I mean, we all know what Donald Trump is. Some have called him racist, and he's not beating those allegations, is it? Because what is it that Sadiq Khan has actually done to him for this irrational hate that he has for him? It's so laughable at this point, but the whole thing is just so ridiculous that the most powerful man in the world can just lie, and people will just stand there. We don't even know if they believe or not. They'll just allow him to lie and get away with it. Like, Keir Starmer has never said anything. Americans, the people who voted for that man.
Hey, Anthony.
Yeah.
What do you think about Trump's executive order making Antifa a domestic terrorist organization?
I think it's basically an excuse for him to label anybody that disagrees with his policies as a domestic terrorist and then use that to persecute them. We've already seen these steps being taken to do so. They attempted to put a bill through Congress to say that anybody that was a domestic terrorist or supporting a domestic terrorist can have their passport taken away so they can't leave the country. Stephen Miller's talked about freezing bank accounts of the said people. And we've seen from, Trump's recent tweet to Bondi that he's fully willing to use the FBI and other law enforcement to persecute his enemies or anybody speaking badly about him. And the left routinely calls Trump a fascist, myself included, because he is. And the name Antifa is short for anti-fascist. And while purportedly that refers to a very nebulous group of people that kind of act in the shadows, I think they're going to use it to say that anybody calling Trump a fascist is Antifa, and therefore that anybody calling Trump a fascist should be labeled a domestic terrorist and arrested or worse. We're basically seeing in real time the Trump administration trying to make being a Democrat or speaking out against him illegal in a number of different ways.
Is it a positive sign that Jimmy Kimmel's show was returned?
It's good to see that the boycott had a effect. I haven't confirmed, but I heard that Disney lost something like $3.6 billion as a result of people canceling their subscription. So it does show that, the public can still throw their money around to some effect. But the fact that they were willing to do that in the first place is a sign of, how the tide is shifting. We have all these major news organizations that are basically all owned by Republicans at this point. We have Oracle. It sounds like they're going to be the one that's buying out TikTok. Oracle is owned by Larry Ellison, who is, I think, now the richest person in the world. I think he dethroned Elon Musk recently. And, a major Republican donor. So all the big social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, are owned by Republican supporters. Most of the major news organizations are owned by Republican donors. Somebody like Jimmy Kimmel being reinstated, while it's good that it happened, I think it's more of just a token play to appease the protesters than something that actually means anything. Which isn't to say that people shouldn't continue to do what they're doing, right? I saw another creator talk about how it's important that we go through the motions of democracy, even if democracy is not fully in play, just so that we don't forget, how it works. It's important people still, vote with their wallet, keep protesting. I still think a general strike is in play, but it's not a good sign that we're getting to the point where the Trump administration can openly call for the firing of opposing media and public figures like Jimmy Kimmel and have it happen so quickly with so little resistance.
So Erica Cook keeps getting caught in more and more lies, which is really funny because innocent people don't have to lie. But remember when she said that she had only just met Trump? Not true. Those two go way back, and it's not in a cute, wholesome way either. Erica Cook, formerly Erica Francevey, was Miss Arizona 2012, and that is the same time when President Donald Trump owned the pageants. So Erica and Trump already knew each other formally. And let's not forget that Trump himself has already been accused multiple times of sexually harassing teenagers at these events. That's not conspiracy, that's documented by contestants themselves. Now fast forward to when Erica launches her little charity organization, which later gets accused of trafficking vulnerable Romanian children. Some newspapers even claim that some of these girls were found, trafficked to England and Israel. Obviously, Erica herself denies these claims, but the accusations are there and the accusers are still there. And the people that she personally thanked for helping to start that charity, at least one has already been caught trafficking women onto US military bases. It is always the creepiest full circle. So yeah, beauty queen turned political wife Erica Cook didn't just stumble into Trump world. She's been there for over a decade, and the same names that circle her are the same names that keep coming up in trafficking scandals.
Hello, welcome back again. I'm in the first clip. Trump during his visit to United Kingdom, during this dinner they had, he said that he personally rejected the invitation of Sadiq Khan to the dinner. And again, he keeps accusing Sadiq Khan of immigration in UK when Sadiq Khan doesn't control immigration policy of the United Kingdom. So this is a blatant racism. And in the second clip, you saw Trump declaring Antifa a terrorist organization when he was still labeling the left as organizers and funders of domestic terrorism in the United States. He's saying that the liberals contribute greatly to the mass shootings, to the attempted and assassinations which happened in the United States.
I think all Western leaders are a little embarrassed by what they are having to do to appease Trump. They're all still figuring out how to try to handle him. Gavin Newsom, governor of California and the de facto leader of the opposition now in America, or leader of the resistance is the other title that he's being unofficially accorded, went further. He said, I'm disgusted by the Western countries that are aiding and abetting Donald Trump in his authoritarian takeover of the US. That's what Gavin Newsom said in his interview with me last week.
And he even likened them. He said they're doing exactly what so many corporations are doing and so many billionaires. I mean, that's particularly damning, right? You're talking about the leaders of sovereign nations who are behaving like corporations that are just in it for the money.
Yeah, that's right. He didn't use this phrase, but it's like they're tiptoeing around a terrorist and don't want to upset him and hoping that if they can just ingratiate themselves sufficiently, they'll survive, even though they know the entire building is going to get demolished.
So Donald Trump's teleprompter broke today when he was speaking at the UN General Assembly, and he gave one of the most embarrassing speeches in all of U.S. history. Let's start with this one where he's addressing immigration in other countries.
You have to end it now. Sid, I can tell you, I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell. In America, we've taken bold action to swiftly shut down uncontrolled migration.
And then he also started talking about climate change and how other countries are to blame and not the United States, of course. But when he was speaking about environmentalists and people who care about the environment in general, he was saying no more cows. We don't want cows anymore. I guess they want to unalive all the cows. And he even decided to shout out his own merch line, saying, I'm really good at predicting things. During the campaign, they had a hat. A best-selling hat, of course. Trump was right about everything it said. And I don't say that in a braggadocious way, but it's true. I've been right about everything. This is the way he's speaking in front of world leaders as the President of the United States. He reduced America's voice to playground insults, conspiracy theories, and petty side rants where no one even knows what he's talking about. Instead of diplomacy, he bragged about himself. Instead of unity, he mocked our allies. And instead of leadership, his speech was filled with shame and confusion. Every single time Trump gets on the global stage and makes speeches like this, it chips away at America's credibility, leaving us weaker, smaller, and way less respected than we previously were. And that is exactly what our foreign adversaries want.
It does appear to be sabotage with the escalator and the teleprompter. What is the White House going to do about that?
Well, Jesse, that's definitely what it appears to be to me, and that's why I put out a statement earlier. There was some concerning reporting over the weekend from the London Times, as you pointed out, that UN globalist staffers were basically plotting to set up the President of the United States. And first it was the escalator, then it was the teleprompter, and then Katie Pavlich from Town Hall, who we offered a seat in the press pool to cover the President's historic speech today, noticed that the audio inside of the room was much lower and different for the President of the United States than the previous speaker. So when you put all of this together, it doesn't look like a coincidence to me, and I know that we have people, including the United States Secret Service, who are looking into this to try to get to the bottom of it. And if we find that these were UN staffers who were purposely trying to literally trip up the President and the First Lady of the United States, well, there better be accountability for those people, and I will personally see to it, Jesse.
Good.
An immediate, full-scale Secret Service investigation for a broken elevator and a teleprompter. Yet, this is where we are this year so far, compared to previous years. Thoughts and prayers. No one bats an eye. This is not the time to talk about politics. God forbid a fucking escalator breaks. Priorities are just mind-blowing.
Hello everyone, thank you for reaching the end of this video. It's Anthony again. Trump is mad after what happened at the UN. He's still mad, he hasn't healed. And if you usually follow these UN proceedings, before Trump came to give his speech, Netanyahu received a massive walkout. And after that, 145 states decided to vote to end the war in Gaza and to recognize Palestine as a state. So after Trump's orchestrated failed teleprompter, it took 55 minutes to bash the UN, to call them a terrorist organization, to accuse them of funding the fall of the Western civilization. Yes, he took this stance to accuse them because they did not support Israel. So all these failed escalator, all these failed teleprompter, it was all pre-planned. It was all organized to ensure chaos so that people could forget about the issue at hand, the war in Palestine. And you saw even the Colombian president, he accused Trump of bombing civilians in vessels without due justice. He accused him of funding this war in Gaza. So it's a mess because even our allies are sidelining us. The likes of Australia, the likes of UK, the likes of France, they are really sidelining us in the essence that they are not supporting Israel, but they want a two-state solution. So Trump is really mad at them.